Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's live stream. Hopefully everything's coming through nice and clearly for everyone. Just making sure everything's okay and working, and chat's got on. Yeah, I can see chat working on my screen. Brilliant. So yes, welcome to this week's live stream. This week we are doing a live UE4 tutorial. And there's actually be quite a few little tutorials actually, because what we'll be doing today is we're taking what we learnt last week when we done a case study of Mario Odyssey, and we took a look at some things there. And what we're going to be doing in this episode is taking a stab at trying to recreate some of the effects we saw there. So the benefit of these live tutorials, beyond just being a tutorial and how to use UE4, you will get to see my workings out live. I've not gone into this with any prior practice or anything like that. I'm coming in live, and therefore you get to see me solving bugs, especially coming across bugs. But you get to see that process. That's a process that you don't often see on your sort of online videos. But it can be quite useful and quite valuable, because you get to see how you actually solve. How does someone actually sit down and solve problems when they do get stuck? So so we're going to recreate a couple of Mario Odyssey things. So we're going to start things off with some ground pounds. So jumping in the air, push down, crouch, and you'll slam into the ground. We're going to do that first, and then we're going to go start and look at Mario Odyssey's sort of possession mechanic, where you can throw out a hat, jump on it as well, and possess supposedly inanimate objects and move around as them. We're going to have a stab at doing that, hopefully, if we have time. So yeah, I've got chat on the window, so if you have any questions, suggestions, or just general chit-chat, by all means, have a chat away. Please respect everyone and everything else, so keep everything gravy, and yeah, we might as well make a start. So as I said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a ground pound. So I've just opened up the third person template, and it's just basic character movement in here. So what we're going to be doing is adding that ground pound effect to this dude. So I'm going to go and create a new input first of all. Project settings. And in my project settings you'll find inputs, and we're going to create an action mapping. This is going to be crouch. And for my keyboard I'm going to use the left control. And for my controller, I'm going to use the right trigger. Trigger. Okay. Okie dokie. So, we're going into now the blueprints of the third person character. And in here we can now call up that crouch event, action event crouch. So when we push the crouch button, things will trigger. So the way it's going to work is that if you hold down crouch whilst you're not jumping, you'll just crouch. But if you do it while in midair, you'll slam into the ground directly beneath you. So that's what we're going to do. Let's just pause for a second and just answer a couple of questions happening in chat. So CX Dub, make a turn-based battle system. I have started brainstorming that and putting that together. That will probably be a series rather than a live stream, because it can be quite a lengthy job. But yeah, that is actually on the docket for some time, probably next year now. But yeah. Can you make a shop like Android games? Do you mean like a real money shop or a shopping game? Because a shopping game is actually done. It's actually out for all the Patreon. So the Patreon patrons have access to the Shopkeeper series. And if you are a patron already, the last few episodes of that have been recorded, and they'll be given to you in the next coming days, along with the project files. Everyone else, you'll start getting the Shopkeeper stuff probably in a few weeks' time. I'm good, Abby Doobity. I'm all good. Okay, so let's return back to our crouch mechanic we've got going on here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out if I'm in the air or not. So the easiest way of doing that is grabbing a character movement component out, and then from there you can get the is falling node. And that simply just tells you whether or not you're falling or not. This is going to go into a branch, and like so. And when we press it, we are if we're false, we just do the crouch function that comes with the engine. Nothing special there. But if we are in the air and it's true, we're going to slam him into the ground. And to do that, you do the launch character, which is how you make characters jump. But instead of jumping in the Z, we're going to make it go down. So minus 1000. And we're going to tick the Z override. The Z override basically takes whatever physics are happening on the character at the moment and cancels them out and overrides it with the new Z value of minus 1000 in this case. Compile that. And that'll do for that. And if we now test that out, I jump in the air, crouch, and I get slammed into the ground. Bush. Bush. So if you want to make that stronger, you can just tweak this number however you wish. So if I make it maybe 1500, I get slammed into the ground even harder. So let's just jump off here, see it as a proper height. Whoop, bush. Okay. And if you want it to go directly straight down, like you're doing typically in a Mario game, if you go to XY override and tick that as well, that means it'll cancel out any X and Y movement and just go straight down. So if you're doing a cartoony platformer, that kind of works. Oop. Slam. There you go. Now, I don't sadly have any animations that I could put on this thing, but I'll show you the process of how you actually would do that. I just don't have the actual animation. I did try looking for a free one I can find quickly before we started, but I couldn't find anything. So to do the crouch slam down, although we have got the anime starter pack here, we could use this, but they're rifles, so he's holding a rifle, so it's not ideal. What's this? Is this anything? No. Even if we can use part of something. We could maybe use this. This might be funny. So this thing is attached to a different skeleton. So actually, while we're here, we're going to show you how to do retargeting. So this thing's attached to a different skeleton. Okay, it's got this skeleton here. Now it looks exactly the same, but it probably is a bit different. Hang on. Yeah, so it's using this skeleton instead. So if you import the anime starter pack, you'll get two skeletons that are called the same thing, which is nice and not confusing. So first thing we need to do to retarget is we find the skeleton of each one, and we open the retarget manager. And in here, you're going to go set up rig and select humanoid rig. And the rest of it you can auto map. If you're using the mannequin, you can auto map it. Otherwise, if you're using your own character, you have to go through manually checking off which bone refers to which name of a humanoid. Okay? And when you've done that, click save. Oh, don't have to click save. You ignore that. And we're done there. So we just need to go back to the other one. It's in here. I do the same thing here. Make sure it's all done. And save. So now we've got those two skeletons retarget set up. We can go into that. In theory, you should be able to go into here. Right click on the animation, retarget, and click on the duplicate. You can choose the other skeleton. Okay, so if you're duplicating this with your own skeleton and your own meshes, they need to be in a similar pose. So this A pose, for example, it has to be as close as possible to make it work as good as you want it to. So I'm going to click retarget. So here's my prone death. And that means now I can use it with the default mannequin that comes with this thing. So to do that, we're going to go into our mannequin folder here, go into the animation blueprint, and in here we could go into here And we can add another state onto this actually. Go add state and go slam. And the slam, you see prone def 1 now. It's there. I'm gonna make sure this thing loop. Not loops actually. I don't know. We'll see how this looks. It might look weird, but we'll see. So after the jump loop, you've got this transition node here, which tells you what determines it to go into slam or jump end. So jump end is saying, well, you're not in the air anymore, do the landing animation. But in this case, I want to do when I'm slamming into the ground. So what we need to do is go to our character. And we need something to determine that we are slamming. So I could, for example, set up a boolean is slamming, and set that to true. And on released, no, not released, compile, and we do landed. We have to just set is slamming back to false. Maybe put a little delay on that actually. Delay by 1 second. Okay, so when we trigger it, it suddenly becomes true. Then when we land, after 1 second, it'll set it to false. So now we've got that on there, we can use it in the animation blueprint. Here. And we need to bring that variable into here. So in the event graph, and what we're going to do is do a begin play. Yeah, that's what we do. Get player character and cast that to the particular character. You have to cast it to the particular one because that character is the only one with that variable on it. So this is just a generic character. We will need to get that specific one. So as third person character, come out of there, and we're going to get. Actually, let's just promote it to a variable. So we've got a reference. There you go. So this will be the player actor. Because now on begin play, it's going to just store that reference to the player actor. So when I'm doing the updates of the animation here, I could just call this actor out and check if there is slamming. And go get. And then in here we have another is slamming one. We actually don't need to do that. We can just go straight into the thing. So in here, we just go in here and just do it in here. I'll delete this. Get player actor out. Is slamming. And we'll plug that straight into there. Cool. So if slamming happens, this animation will play, and then what we'll do is go back to idle run, and we do the exact same thing again, but we check that it is false. It is slamming, and to make it false, you just make it not, but not boolean. So this thing, this little deviation here, locks it into slam until that landing has happened and turns it off. So we'll go into here, push jump. There you go. Bosh. Bit funky, but there you go. It works. Okay, so we can go a bit further, and we could add like a sort of knockback effect on everything in the radius, so give like a little force push. So on our player character, in here, we're going to the viewport, and we're going to add another component to this thing, a radial force, and we're going to just attach it to the mesh. And the radius I'm going to leave at Leave it, let's say 500. Yeah, it might be alright. And the impulse strength needs to be quite high, so we're going to go, let's try 50,000, see what that turns out like. So after we do this launch and set, I'm going to drag radial force out and take it to fire. It'll just do a fire impulse. Okay. So let's put some physics objects in here so we can actually see if this works. So I'm just going to drag a cube out and knock it to the floor and turn on physics. So when I go up to him, it moved a little bit. Let's give it a bit more oomph. Radial force. Let's give it another 0 in there. There you go. And there you go. We've got a ground pound. And if you had enemies there, you could make them deal damage to anything within a radius. Yeah, there you go. Kind of cool. So there's your ground pound, and that's how you do that. So let's recap how you accomplish that. So if we go back to our character, our player character, quite simply, we create a new input for crouching. And if we're crouching, we want to check whether or not we're falling in the air. And you do that by getting the character movement and checking the is falling node. If it's false, you just do the crouch node. If we had an animation for crouching, we could put this in here, but I don't think we do. So, I mean, I could make something quickly. We'll do it in a minute. But if it's true, launch character will launch the character into the ground if you turn the Z into a negative. Ticking both the X, Y, and the Z overrides cancels out all the current movement on those axes and forces it into one direction only, which is very similar to sort of cartoony platformer games. After that, we're setting a variable to be true to determine whether or not we're slamming into the ground. This is useful for the animation. Then finally, we're telling a radial force to fire its impulse. So when you're slamming and you land on the ground, it's going to wait a second and then turn slamming off. Again, this is for animation purposes. So speaking of animation, in the animation graph, the event graph, we use the begin play just to get the player character and store a reference to the player character. The reason why we did this here rather than here, this is sort of like a tick, happens all the time, and casting is quite expensive. So you want to just do it once really, because you only need to do it once, and put it on here. So now you can use it to get access to the player character. In the state machine, we added a slam off the jump loop, so a diversion, and it enters the slam by looking for the player actor, which is that reference we got from the begin play, and the is slamming variable from it. Oh, crashed, slow, bit of lag. Anyway, let's wait for it to catch up. That's kind of the gist of it. Oh, there we go. The slam animation plays as normal, and we determine whether or not slamming's still turned on and off. If it's off, it will return back to the idle run animation. So let's just have a look on some chat messages before we continue with the next thing. Thank you for your support, Asmund, on Patreon. Could buy some animations. I did look for some animations, but they're all like gun animations. There's no one really doing platformer-esque good animations there. But I didn't want to spend a fortune just for a little thing like this. This worked. It's fine. Maxim, hi Ryan. I finished a foliage project with the memory leak I talked of, so I finally can't be bothered with it anymore. Oh, okay, right. I see. Yeah, maybe talking about that. I say yeah, it's hard to see without. Usually, when it's memory leak stuff, it takes me a while to just sit around and just experiment with a load of stuff. James Jocelyn, would you be able to use this in a way to make interactive grass, i.e. it moves out of the way? You could, but I wouldn't do it that way. The best way of doing interactive grass is through the material shader using vertex offsets, world position offsets. There's tons of videos about how to accomplish that. So check them out. I'll do one at some point, but yeah. Hi, just wondering if you could do a video on UI with control if you haven't already. Hi Adam, so actually this is a Patreon video. So Patrons have 3 episodes so far of a new series in gamepad UI controls. So far we're trying to do like an RPG sort of menu system. So when you use like shoulder buttons, it will toggle between different pages, and then you can move the cursor, not move the cursor, but select which boxes you want to select. So yeah, typical RPG-esque menu system. But yes, 3 episodes of Patreon are up for patrons. More coming out over the course of this month. We're trying to finish it before the end of November. So yeah, it's a good fun one. Yeah, it works quite nicely. We're making it work with keyboard and gamepad. Other videos coming to Patreon this month also are swimming. We do a swimming video. It'll only take a couple of episodes probably. Plus the results from the video poll that the patrons have chose. So patrons have chosen to a video on making a door open with a keypad. So like what we call diegetic widgets. So widgets inside the world that you click on, like a computer screen that you can tap onto. So you're going to tap in a code and your door will open based on whether the code is correct. So that's coming out this month as well. Sharma, I'm wondering if there can be a video about complete APK format export process if not done. I add it to the list, but there's no ETA unfortunately on putting that together. I'm sure there's plenty of documentation somewhere. I can't imagine there wouldn't be. Just make sure that you've got the Android SDK all installed, and yeah, and set up all the keys in front of in Unreal. Kim North, what benefits does the crouch function have as opposed to just animating the crouch? So the crouch function also changes the capsule height, so the collision boxes will work. So this would actually, we can actually test this out. You can actually see this happening. If I just raise that up, and if I push the crouch button, see I can't move through it, but if I push crouch, even though I'm not animated, it should. Maybe it's not. Oh, I could actually take it, but it can crouch first. Let's go into the thing. Search for crouch, and on the character movement, tick can crouch. So I can't move past here, but if I push the crouch button, I can. You just have to animate the mesh to be of that height, and you have to do the uncrouch function as well. So for example, if I was doing uncrouch on here, I could use this release key. Again, doing a branch here to determine if I'm falling or not. And if it's false, we do uncrouch. And as you see, it will change the camera height as well as the capsule height. So I can hold down crouch and go underneath here and pop up. And that's the benefit of that function. Temix, added a 3D widget in a watch. That is my character and it is attached, but the widget does a strange wiggle when I run with it in the character. Do you know how I can fix that? Depends on what the wiggle is. I'll have to take a look at that personally, but you could have just done the watch face as a material. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to have a look at that, how you actually achieve that. Where am I located? I'm in England. Essex in particular. It is currently 12:30 o'clock here in the morning. Thanks for joining us, Asmund. I know it's late. Apologies to keep you up. They need a non-debuggable APK. I'm not too sure. I haven't got the Android SDK installed onto Unreal, so I can't test it right now. But you must have a tick box somewhere that you tick. I can't remember now. It must be something like an option that you can tick on and tick off. Okay, so shall we move on to the next mechanic from Mario? Let's do a hat frisbee throw. Well, what do people actually want to do? Do you want to do the frisbee throw where you throw a hat and able to jump on it? Or do you want to do the possession mechanic where you can throw a hat out and if you hit something, you can possess it and take control of it? Which one would you guys prefer to see first? Because I'm just being aware of time, that's all. And I don't know if we'll do all three, but we'll see how time takes us. You guys tell me what you'd like to see. So either the possession mechanic from Mario Odyssey, where you throw the cap out and hit something that you can possess and take control of it, or doing the hat frisbee where you throw the hat out and it stays in midair while you jump on it and it goes back to your character. What would you prefer to see? So Kim's voting for the throw with the hat throw. Any other votes? Possession is more straightforward. Could be. We have to make an animation for something. We'll have to make like an inanimate object. But yeah, we could do throw. There's other votes. We'll go for the throw. Okay, so looks like the throw it is. So let's do the throw. So the hat throw, if I'm familiar with Mario Odyssey, you can throw a hat out and it will spin in midair and you're able to jump on it like a bouncy platform, and then once you do that, the hat will return back to you. So we're gonna have a crack at figuring that out. So first of all, we can need a hat actor that we're able to throw out. Let's might as well put it in here. So we need a new blueprint class and we need an actor. Let's call this hat. And let's just... So the way I approach problems like this is I think about the end goal and I break it down into steps. So the first thing I want to do is just make a bouncy hat. So I'll put the hat in the world and be able to just jump on it. That'd be the first thing. Once I've got that working, then I'll work on the throw mechanic and then combine the two together. So that's how I solve problems. So let's first of all make the hat so we can actually do that bouncy stuff. So let's do that. And I don't have a hat model, but we'll make something. Let's do a cylinder. And let's squish it way down. And go 0.1 like so. And like so. So we've got a static mesh, and we'll also need a collider as well. So let's do a sphere collision, and let's just make it a bit bigger. Trying to anyway. There you go. Right, do that. That'll do. Actually, that ain't. I want it to be a bit more squished than that. So let's try a box collision. We can make it flatter. Like so. That'll do. So this box collision will be the thing that detects whether or not the player has entered its sort of radius. The reason why you'll do that rather than just use the mesh is because you can then make it bigger than the mesh. And if you're doing like a children's game, like a platformer game like Mario, you want it to be a bit forgiving for where you land on it. So we'll do that. Next, we need to do the bouncy bit. So let's get our box collision selected and right click and search for a begin overlap event. And you want to add a component begin overlap. So this will trigger when anything overlaps to box. So we need to check whether or not this is equal to the player character. Get player character. And go into a branch. So if it's equal to the player character, we're then going to launch that character. And we'll launch them twice their jump height. So if I get their movement component, and then from there get jump, jump, what's it called, launch. Maybe it's going to be annoying, isn't it? Doesn't have a jump movement. Jump, no. So it's a character movement component, that's why. So let's just cast that to character movement component. Oh, screw it, let's just type in a value rather than be awkward about it. Let's get rid of that. So launch character, we'll just say the Z launch, so let's do double the jump height. So let's find the jump height. Okay, jump in. So jump is 600, so let's do it 1200. 1200 and override the Z. Okay, and after that we'll make it also disappear. So after that, destroy actor, like so. Cool. Hit play, and go put it in the world. So put that in the world. So there's the hat spinning away, doing its thing. Point, and launches you up. That's a bit high. Maybe a bit lower than that. Let's do 800. There you go. Cool. Okay, so right. We've got the hat bouncing. Let's just get the throwing mechanic now done. So I need an input for this. So project settings, input, action mapping, throw, hat. And this will be, I don't know, the E key. Do E. And we can use, we might as well add a gamepad support in here while we can. Gamepad, face button. Let's do face button left. Okay. So on our character, let's put this somewhere in a nice big space and do throw at. So I need to make that also a projectile. So on my hat here, I'm going to add projectile movement. And the projectile movement, we're going to give it some speed. I don't know what this is. I don't know what it's going to be like. So we'll check 300 first, and we probably will no doubt have to change this. So do 300, max speed of 300. Turn off gravity because we don't want it to fall to the floor. We just want it to hover in the air. And we then want to tell it velocity to be 1 in the X. That's correct. It goes straight forward. Okay, cool. So then once it's done that, we're going to do begin play. And when it's done that, we're going to timer by event. And we'll say 1 second. It's going. We need to create a custom event. And this will be kill velocity. Goes like that. And we just tell the projectile movement velocity. Ooh. Set velocity to 0, 0, 0. So that should stop in midair after 1 second of flight. So on throw hat, I need to spawn actor. Actually, let's just see if it actually flies through the air. It should fly through the air. This one here. There you go. And it stops me there. Cool. So on the player character, we're going to throw hat, go spawn actor from class. Choose our hat. So I haven't looked up at the screen for the chat. I will go back and have a look at chat in a second. Get actor transform for where we spawn it. And that'll do. So I spawn the hat. And I've just realised we need to also tell it so this box collision is inactive until this time event happens. So with it selected, I'm going to go down here and I need to turn it off. So ooh. I don't think it has an activate. Deactivate. Okay. So on begin play, we deactivate the box, and on this event we activate the box. Okay. Compile. Let's test this out. So oh hello, I hit it straight away. So that didn't work. Deactivate doesn't work. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll take in that start here, we'll drag the box out and we'll get active. No. I know what we'll do. We'll get the velocity. So get velocity of the projectile movement first of all. So get the projectile movement, get velocity of the projectile movement. And then from there, we can check whether or not that is equal to 0, 0, 0. No. Equal to. There, that'll do. And put that into an and. So velocity needs to stop moving for this to bounce the character off. Okay. Push E. Okay, pretty much there. Cool. Before we carry on, let's have a look back at some of our chat messages. Just scroll back up a bit and let's have a look. Hi Rodrigo. You guys just chat amongst yourselves mostly. I haven't missed much. So we're all bitching about Death Stranding, are we? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to turn my static mesh to have no collision. So turn off collision. That'll fix that jolty start, so no longer. I'll throw it out. Yeah. Cool. So also Mario, it only spins in the air whilst you're holding down the key. When you let go of the key, it returns back to you. So let's do the returning back to the player character. So throw hat is then released. We need to get this spawn actor hat and do something with it. So let's just promote that to the variable so we can actually do something to it. Spawned hat. We also only want to spawn one hat at a time. So with that set to spawn hat here on throw hat, we can get and do a validated get. Like so. So if it's not valid, i.e. doesn't exist, we'll spawn one. And on the released, we're going to get that hat and tell it to I don't know how would we make it fly back to the player. I forgot what they call it in this direction. No, facing. No. Oh my god, what do they call it in this? Hang on. Let's turn off this and check this out. Facing. Direction. So I'm just trying to find there's a node. I can't remember what they call it. And it's direction. It's like the angle between one thing and another. And splines. Oh my god, what was it? Rotation. Oh, what do they call it? I can't remember. Oh god. You plug in two vectors and it gives you the direction. Ah, there we go. No, unit direction. Yeah, there you go. So unit direction, we can get the spawned hat's location. Get location. I can turn off context. Turn on context now, and that'll be one of them. From there to the player's location. So get out to location just on its own. And that should give you a direction for it to go to. So spawned hat now. We can tell it to actually let's make a custom event for the hat. So in the hat, we're going to create a custom event. And we're going to call this one return to player. And this thing's going to return, we need a direction input. So we add a new input and we call it direction. And that's going to be a vector. So here is our custom event. So now we've got a custom event on there. On our player character, this spawned hat reference can also now call that return to player function. And you can see it requires a direction, which we can just plug that in. And this goes into that released. So released. And let's go to the hat and do this return to player with this direction here. So projectile movement, we can go and set velocity to equal that direction. And that should be enough to do, I think. Let's have a look. Push out E. No. No, that's gone wrong. Right, let's just print string this. Let's see what this does. That's correct, but why is that not coming back? We can get rid of the deactivate, activate stuff. We don't need that. Projectile movement. I've not set it to 0, 0, 0 anymore, so it should be moving back to the player. Speed. We'll get max speed and we'll multiply it by this here. Float. Compile that. And let's test that out. There we go. And that returns back to the player. Right, okay. So we've got the return back to the player. We can get rid of the print string now. The reason why we had to do this thing is that velocity, that comes through as a normalized value, so it goes between 0 and 1. So if it's 0 and 1, therefore velocity needs to be a lot higher than that. So if I just get the setting for the max speed, I can plug that in and it will send it flying back. Now I may want it to return quicker, which I actually think happens in Mario. So if I do this again multiplied by another float and do 2, plug that in there, it will now return back to the player a lot quicker. Once it's reached its destination though, I want to tell it to destroy itself. Okay, so return to player, and how can we do this? Because we don't know how long it's going to take for it to get back to the player. So I'm going to set a variable on it called is returning, and I'm going to set that to true at the end. Okay, and then on the tick here, we're going to get that is returning variable, put that into a branch, plug that in, and if it's true, we want to get the actor location, so of the player. So get player character, and then get the actor location of this. Sorry, I will look up at this screen, I promise. Just takes a bit of time. Get to location, and we're going to do that unit direction thing. So if I drag that out here and get almost equal? No. What's it called? Equal. This one. So yeah. So it's equal to the normal get actor location. So this is getting the player's location. This is the hat's location, and this float here is the standard like tolerance. So if we type in a value of say 0.1, no, let's do. Let's do 10. So if it's within 10 of difference between the different locations, I want it to destroy itself. Destroy actor. So let's test that out now. Play. Thing out. Out. It's not flying back at me, is it? What's gone wrong? Oh, it's because I need to tell this timer to stop playing as well. So that error was happening because this timer's still going, and it's going to kill the velocity at the end of that timer. So what I need to do is store this timer as a variable and tell it to cancel at the end. So promote to variable, and this will be kill timer. And on the return to player, we can get kill timer out and clear and invalidate it. And that basically gets rid of the timer. So now it'll just continue doing what it should be doing. Push play, bring it out, bring it back, and there it goes. Bring it out, bring it back, there it goes. If I fling it out, it should stop, and then the player can jump on it. Oh. Weird. Okay. So I'll need to make it change its velocity based on the tick. Because as you saw there, if I move out the way as it's flying back to me, it won't ever come back. Unless I push the E key again. I can kind of coax it around. So what I need to do is make it homing track me back. So on the tick event here, It's returning as true. We're just going to do this, this, and put that back in. Yeah. Oh, and it also needs direction, don't we? Oh, it's all going tits up. Hang on, let's get that direction. So I need this stuff here. And I need to make some space here because this is getting really messy. So this is getting the player's location and vector. So now I'm just going to send it back to the player all the time. What's the other here? Spawned hat. Okay, oh, I delete that. Don't need that. Compile, and this just needs to be get player location. So get player character. Okay, so we've got the player character and the hat location vector. So this is getting our direction, and it's updating the direction of the tick when it's returning based on this normal speed, and so forth. Okay, so now it'll just trace, it'll like home on me, and it'll just follow me wherever I go. Obviously, we need to make it quicker. I push it out, and then jump on it, like so. So I just need to make it quicker. We've got a couple of errors here. Pending kill. Okay, so on this release here, we're just going to double check that this is still existing. So let's promote that to a validate get, and that should get rid of that error. So if it is valid, select return to player. Okay, let's just speed up a bit. So projectile movement, we're going to say max speed here is, we'll say, let's say 800. So it's a bit faster than the actual player, because the player goes 600. Okay. So now this thing should launch out the player. Bit too far, so make it a bit less far. Just change the speed on this timer. Let's go 0.3 and test that out. Throw the hat out. Oh, throw the hat out. And it would help if the platform controls in this were better. Boink, and there you go. We have made Mario Odyssey's hat mechanic and Frisbee, basically. Whoop, 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 whoop. Done. Anyway, I think that's that mechanic done. Let's have a look at what people have been chatting about. Just scrolling back up, let's have a look. So still talking about Death Stranding. Yeah. James Jocelyn, bit off topic. When using UI widgets, should they all be connected to one or separate HUDs? E.g., should your inventory system and minimap have separate parent HUDs or be connected to a single master? So what you should do is you have the have all those bits as separate widgets, which then you plug into a master HUD widget. This makes it a lot easier for you to organize yourself and manage and get access to these various things without it getting a bit too crazy. And it's a lot easier as well to make it customizable by the player if you want to make it customizable. But yeah. Oh, thank you for the donation there, Crimo. I'm sorry if I can pronounce your name. CRMO. Thank you very much for that donation. Thanks so much. Arota Vids, do you have any idea of references I can pull from on how I should go about moving a certain part of a mesh, more specifically for interacting with gun slides in VR? I haven't found it on Google yet. Right, so Aota Vids, or AOTA Vids. To do that, you need to have the moving parts of your gun. It has to be a skeletal mesh. So all the moving parts are connected to bones in the skeleton. And what you're doing then is you are interacting with sockets and bones to move parts. So that's what you have to do there. I don't have enough time tonight to go through how to do skeletal meshes for guns. but maybe in the future we'll go through that. Asmund, I'd like to know how custom events really work. Okay, so custom events are well, just to understand, events are just triggers. So triggers just start off stuff. The events that you're making here are basically functions. They're just functions without a return node. They just spit out stuff. So you can call them up like functions, like anything else, like any node that you see here. It's just that node will then trigger off loads of other nodes. That's essentially all it does. It's not anything too fancy. Add timer by event node explained. Okay. So this timer by event. So this timer, I think of it like an alarm clock. Hang on, let me take a sip of my drink because my throat's drying up here. So this timer is like an alarm clock, and you have two types. You have the event and function. Both essentially work the same, but the event one will trigger off an event. So you connect the event to this node like so, and on the timer, this is your time, how long it's going to take for this event to trigger, and you can make it loop if you want it to loop, and it will just keep doing this event over and over again. You can expand it open, you can see more stuff as well, where you can delay it, its initial start anyway, and so forth. Now this thing returns a timer, which then you can store as a reference, and then you can do things like what we did later on, where we cleared it to get rid of it. But you can also make it restart, go quicker, whatever you want. But that's all they really do. It's like an alarm clock. And so when this begin play triggers, this just sets up the alarm clock to tell the computer that, oh, you need to set this alarm off at 0.3 seconds. Do this. Yeah. Thanks for the donation, Matt. Thank you for that. Wow, thank you so much. What is a dog with a camera? Don't know. What do you call a dog with a camera? Can I describe unit direction a little bit? Okay, so unit direction. Yeah, that was in here. Okay, so unit direction. So unit direction takes two locations, okay? This one and this one, for example. And these two locations are vectors. Now, the output for this is a directional vector. So directional vectors are normalized, so they go between 0 and 1 in each of the three coordinates, x, y, z. And all this is doing is saying is getting the rotation between the two of them and gets the look at direction between the two. And so it basically, a direction is the difference between a direction and a rotation is a direction is which way you're facing. Whereas rotation is all about your orientation of yourself as you are facing that direction. Can be quite confusing. But if you're ever doing anything with facing in a certain way, that's where you're using direction. So unit direction is just outputs a normalized vector, which we use as a directional vector. This is what you, like, for example, if you get forward, if I get forward, you get a forward vector, that gets you the forward direction of the rotation. So you get a particular rotation and it'll give you which way you're facing as a vector, which then you can use for whatever you like later on. I'm just trying to go through chat as quick as possible. Trying to answer all your questions. In your Gatling gun blueprint, what must I do to have it so it starts with a full bar when I hit play and make it go down instead of up? Set its default value to 1. And then you change it so it doesn't add number to it, it minuses a number to it. Can I show a sliding function like Dying Light? I'll see if we have time. If not, I'll make a video on it. It doesn't have to be attached to a tick. It's interesting. Always thought it needed to be a tick to loop. So we needed the hat to be on a tick. Where's the tick? We need to be on a tick because we're constantly checking where the location of the player is. If we didn't need to do that, then we didn't need to use the tick. But where you're constantly checking where the player is, you need to put on a tick because that's obviously happening all the time. Thanks for the support there, Iconmark. Chromo, do you have any idea for more customizable spin box? What's a spin box in UMG? What's a spin box? I've never used one. Where is it? Oh, thanks for the kind words there, Ayotavids. I'm glad you liked my channel. So it keeps growing. We're doing all right. We're getting there. Thank you for the donation, Green Top Hat. Wow, thank you so much. Good night, James. Thanks for popping by. Okay, so I reckon we could try and fit in the possession mechanic from Mario Odyssey. This may involve a little bit of Mayo as well, as we have to animate something inanimate. But we will be using the hat actor again in due time. So let's first of all make a possessable actor. So if you ever need to make something move, it needs to be a pawn or a character. Okay, so it depends on what you want to try and do. But I'm going to do character. Pawn is if you want to try and give it some basic movement. I want it to be controllable almost like a player character. So let's do character. And let's just do possessable 1. Okay, nothing too descript. So in here, I need to create a new mesh. Okay, so I'm going to go into Maya. And we're going to do like a box. So you just possess a box. And we'll animate a box to walk. That's like a box, I guess. Hi, Korea. I would say your name, but I can't read whatever the language is. I'm sorry. But hello. Thanks for joining us. So it must be early morning in Korea. No, it must be what? Yeah, 7, 8 o'clock. Okay, so we're in Maya. I'm just going to do a box, nothing too fancy. But essentially the same process for everything. So if you've got like a frog or an enemy, whatever it is, it's just a dude. Actually, let's start things off with just using a dude. Let's go in here, just give it a dude. So let's do a mannequin. Like so, and let's actually use the other mannequin because that one's got the like this gun aiming sort of look. So let's just put that around the right way. Okay, so if I've got this possessable 1 in here, when my hat hits him, I want to take control of him. So let's go into hat, and in fact, let's go a bit further than this. Let's add another blueprint class and do character, possessable, and that'd be the parent. Okay, so we'll make this parent class different. I don't know if we can change it. Can we change it? Asset actions. No. Okay, let's just redo this. Delete. There probably is a setting somewhere, but I can't find it. So right click on here. We're going to create a child blueprint of this parent, and we'll just call it possessable child. Give it a mesh. And no. Ooh. Okay. So there is our dude that we can be able to possess. Now the reason why I've done a child is because then when you make loads of them, like you do in Mario, you can just reference the possessable parent and it will still work. So for example, in the hat here, and we'll go box collision. So in here, it's going to get a bit messy. So what I'm going to do is make a new function for this. And we'll go possess. I'll go possess thing. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. So on the begin overlap, if it's not the player character, so on the false, we're going to do possess thing and call that out. And this thing will require an input. Click on here, input, and we'll call it an actor. And this will be the possessable parent, like so. So now we go other actor down here, cast to possessable. And if it's true, it'll go into the function, like so. So the possess thing function is going to do all the hard work here. So we're going to get the actor, and well, first of all we have to get the player controller. And from there, we need to possess this actor. Okay. So push play and throw my hat out. There you go. So now I've got possessable on my character here. So I need to just give him some movements. So let's just go into our possessable child here. Go into his blueprint. And we just need to give it some movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my player character and pretty much just copy everything we've got here. Except for like the ground pound stuff. So all this stuff. Copy and put that here. And that should be all right. We don't need a turn rate or anything like that. Get rid of that. Make sure this is all correct. Touch controls, we don't need, we can get rid of that. VR, don't need VR. So now, if I also give him some camera stuff, so give him a camera boom, just try to make it exactly the same as that. So 300 in wide. So add camera. Oh no, not camera boom. Spring arm. Spring arm 300. We're going to tick use pawn controller and add a camera to that. Like so. Compile. Throw my hat out. And now I can control him. Excellent. Okay, so on that character then, on my parent, when I push the crouch button, I want it to eject from that and return back to the original player character. So in here, we're going to create a new variable, and we're going to create the new variable as original character. Okay, and that'd be a character. And we will do the crouch mechanic here. So when we push the crouch button, it ejects from the thing. So on pressed, we're going to get player controller, possess, and we're going to give it the original character. So now on the child, when we possess this thing, so we can not child, sorry, the hat. So when we do the possession, we need to tell this actor here its original character. Set original character is set to the get player character. So we're storing a reference to the original character player character. So if I take possession of this one, oh, get a bit closer, like so, and then if I hit left control, it'll jump back to this dude. And we can go a bit further with the camera controls as well. So when I do that, let's go back to possessable. I can get the player controller and set view target with blend, and this will do some fancy camera stuff. So the target for this is the player character, and the new view target will be the original character. So do that, and blend time is going to be, I don't know, 0.5. No, yeah, 0.5. Do that first, and then do the possession after. So do that on the other side of it. Original character into there. Possession. Oh, we need to delay it first. Delay. And we'll delay it the same amount of time, so it's 0.5 again here. So now, when we do it, and I then return back, I'll flip back to the player character. And that's basically it. Oh, we need to make the hat disappear. It's quite easy to do. After here, session's done, we destroy actor. So E, take control, shift left control, and jump back to the player character. So there you go. So we've gone ahead and we've made 3 mechanics from Super Mario Odyssey, which we looked at last week. So the way it's going to work from now on is we look at case studies, and then the week after we'll do some tutorials based on those case studies. So the 3 mechanics we've made is a ground pound. We're standing to the ground. And that does a radial effect as well. If we had some physics objects in there, let's just put a couple in there so we can see it working. And turn on physics. So, bash. Yep. And next we've done the hat mechanic. So we can throw a hat out and jump on it. If I can aim it correctly. And jump on it and it disappears. Or you throw it out and it comes back. You can use that as an attack if you want. Or if you do it against a possessable enemy, you can possess it and away it goes. And if it control, it'll jump back. Maybe do a blend as well when we do the possession mechanic. So let's go into the hat. And let's do that possession. So you have to do it before you do the possess. That way you can't move it by accident whilst it's still moving the camera. So get controller, set view target with blend. And set view target with blend basically just blends 2 cameras together. So it transitions between one camera to another. So from the current camera to another actor. And the other actor is the actor here. A time of 0.5. Then we delay it from the possession. We can't delay because it's a function. Okay, we'll carry on as it is. But we can't do view targets with blends in a function. The reason why I can't do it in a function is because these functions don't run with delta time. They just they just play. So what we could do is we could take that out and cut that and make a custom event. I'll rename it in a second because we have to change the name. Possess actor. We call it that. And rather than calling the function, we call the custom event. So it's over here. So there we go. Possess actor rather than that function. That means then we can use the set view target with blend. Oh, I have to give it an input. Hang on. Input actor, and that is of the type accessible, and that connects to that now. Just redoing what I just did earlier. Plug that into there, and then into there. Cool. So now we should be able to blend it and delay it, so we can delay now by 0.5 seconds. I will look at chat in a second. Just want to make sure we don't run out of time. So now when I process it, I get this camera transition. Oh, but the procession hasn't happened. What's happened there? Target is controller, session of that actor. Oh, what's happened there? Let's take out this camera movement thing and let's see if that still works as an event. Yeah, so it works there. The camera trickery is breaking it for some reason. New view target. Oh. Get view target. Let's put that into no. Oh well, we'll just cut that out. I'm running out of time. I don't want to spend too long. So, but we've got the mechanics in there anyway, so we can process it and jump out back to the player character. Frisbee the hat out. Bosh. Launches you up just like you do in Mario, and we've got the ground pound. There we go. So let's have a look at some chat messages. What's been going on? What am I making? Oh, yep, I'm making Mario, which we looked at last week. Hopefully you heard that bit when I was going through that. How long have I been making games and / programming? I did my degree in games development, and that was in 2009, so about 10 years. I've been teaching games development about 8 years, and I've been using Unreal Engine 4 for about 4 years, 3 years. I can't remember now. If you wanted to give the hat a boomerang sort of motion, like in God of War, how do you go about doing that? So you use there's multiple ways of doing that. You could do like a spline and then set a tangent, and that'll give you that curve. That you could do that. That'd be fine. Or you could just do it mathematically as well, normally. But whatever it is, you need a tangent on the vector. So I'm not too sure how you would do it in code. I need to spend time on it. The easiest thing I can think of is a spline, which sets up point 1, point 2, and then adds a tangent to that spline, and it sort of bends it then. Yeah. Do you know what the next case study will be? Not yet, no. So if you have any suggestions for what you want to see as a case study, let us know in the comments below or in the chat. And that would be useful to if you let me know what you want me to look at, and take a look at it. And as I said, the following week we'll do tutorials based on what we look at. Kim North asking a non-Mario related question. If a rain particle on top of my character, it works fine, but when I make a sudden long jump, the rain particle seems to fall behind for a second or two. Pardon me. Right. Okay, so it's seeming like it lags behind because the particles are moving in their own local space. The emitter's moving with you, but the particles won't. If you want to change it so the particles move in your space, in your particle system, you will have in the required section, use local space, tick that box. And that means it'll move with whatever the emitter's attached to. It'll keep with it rather than sticking to world space. That's how you fix that rain. If that's, I think that's what would be the issue, by what sounds like what you're describing. Try that out. Thanks for the follow, a BMW 335i. Okay, I think we're going to call it there. So if you have any last questions or comments, please say now. We'll give you 5 minutes longer to answer any questions people have before we wrap up things tonight. If you want the archive for this, it will be available to patrons either tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on how long it takes me to tidy up. And for public, it'll be out in 2 weeks' time. Next week will be question time, where we'll be sitting down answering all the questions that you have. So save them up, and you can answer I can answer your questions next week, be it Unreal Engine 4 related, game development related, gaming, myself, food, whatever you want to talk about. We can chat about it next weekend. Okay, I think then we'll give it a call it there. I think so. Thanks for the follow, Art Tilt. Thanks for that. Thanks very much for coming by and sticking with me tonight. We made some good progress. I'm quite pleased with how far we got. Basically made Mario. Just need to make some better graphics, and yeah, it worked just fine. Okay, so we basically made Mario Odyssey stuff. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you've learned a few things here and there. So yeah, so let's do this again next weekend for question time. Oh, I see, Kim. When you move the camera around, the character, the particles can't be seen. Make sure your part in the component list. So here, your particles are attached to the mesh, not to the camera. So they are like my radial forces here. Make sure they're attached to the mesh, so they follow the mesh, not the camera. Yes, as I was saying, plenty of content coming out this month for Patreon. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, head over there, and for $1 you get access to all these videos. You'll get access to my new premium series, which is the Making Your First Game in UE4. After that, we've also got the entirety of the Shopkeeper NPC series. That's pretty much done. That'll be up and released to Patrons, as well as the project files for the Gold Patrons. Gold Patrons, don't forget, have access to that Making Your First Game entirety, all 37 episodes. Also coming out for Patrons is the swimming videos, how to do swimming in the game, and also how to do in-game 3D widgets where you can interact with by the player clicking on buttons on the screen, for example. and we're going to make a door that opens with a keypad in that video. Beyond that, we'll make some tiny little side videos as well, all before the end of November. So thanks very much for watching. We've got plenty of more stuff coming for public YouTube, including dynamic camera systems, lighting and how that works, and explaining that in detail. So plenty of cool stuff, as well as the start of the Shopkeeper series and the start of the free release of the Premium series. So loads of stuff coming out. December's coming up. Going to do loads more stuff there. Got some Christmas goodies for people, hopefully. And as a little tidbit, I have started work on the next Premium series, which will be out next year at some point, probably towards the summer, because I've got to make a lot of artwork for it. So keep an eye out for updates on that on my social media, where I'll be teasing that all the way up to its release next year. So thanks again. And thank you to everyone who's following me. Thank you for everyone who's subscribed to me. And thank you for everyone who's donating to me. We'll be doing it without you guys. And as I said, we're getting one step closer for me doing this full time and pumping out tons of content for you and helping you more one-to-one. So thank you again and have a good night. I'm going to go off and get some sleep. Good night, everyone.